From Homestead Media, this is HHS In Depth.
Welcome back to HHS In Depth. On today's show, you'll hear a recap of our last semester and advice for this upcoming year from our principal, Mrs. Summers. Next, reporter Matthias Arizmundi tells you all you need to know about the new parking lot policy for second semester and the challenges it's already had on the students that drive to school. Later, you'll hear about one Homestead teacher who uses his prep period for learning instead of prepping or grading for his own classes. And finally, you'll get caught up in Homestead athletics news in an all-new Down to the Wire. All of this and so much more on today's edition of HHS In Depth.
It's Friday, January 17th, and thank you for joining us today on HHS In Depth. I'm Carly Sweimeller.
And I'm Mara Nicholson. And Carly, it has been incredibly cold these last few days. I've been dreading leaving my car to walk into school in the morning. How about you?
No, I so agree. It has been so cold, and I hate having to carry around my coat all day long. Luckily, we are now joined in studio by weather reporter Elena Baker to give us a look into this weekend's weather.
I agree with you guys. I hate having to carry my coat around, but you're gonna need it a little bit longer as the temps leaving today are going to be around 36 degrees under partly cloudy skies. As the weekend begins, Saturday starts with some morning snow showers with the high around the same as today at 35 degrees. However, lows will drop to 15 degrees overnight, so be sure to watch out Sunday for icy roads and sidewalks as the high temperature reflects Saturday's lows being 18 degrees and the low overnight on Sunday drops to a chilly -2 degrees. If you think that's cold, wait until I'm back later in the show to tell you how much it gets colder at the beginning of next school week. Elena Baker, HHS In Depth.
And now we go beyond Homestead.
Just weeks ago, 930 LA in the Downtown Arts District was a trendy event venue. But after fires devastated the Los Angeles region, community organizers and volunteers transformed the industrial space into a refuge with beds and tables stocked with essentials like hygiene products and clothing. Supported by local organizations, it's now one of many sites aiding wildfire evacuees. People have amplified fundraising campaigns by resharing donation and volunteer opportunities, including a master spreadsheet from the Mutual Aid Los Angeles network. Our hearts go out to those affected. In other national news, Starbucks is reversing its open door policy after almost 7 years, now requiring that people make a purchase if they want to hang out at its coffee shops or use its restrooms. The coffee giant said on Monday that a new code of conduct will be posted in all company-owned North American stores, which also ban discrimination or harassment, consumption of outside alcohol, smoking, vaping, drug use, and panhandling. Starbucks spokesperson JC Anderson said the new rules are designed to help prioritize paying customers. Anderson said most other retailers already have similar rules.
Thank you, Carly, for some news outside the walls of Homestead. Second semester has brought a multitude of changes to our school, and HHS In Depth got the opportunity to meet with Principal Mrs. Summers to get her perspective on everything from the construction project to student opportunities for the new semester. Joining us now is reporter Owen Kruger.
As a part of HHS In Depth tradition, we had our annual sit-down with the principal, in which Mrs. Summers shared her excitement in working with students this second semester.
I think there's so many great things that happened first semester. We had success academically, in athletics, in the performing arts. It was a great way to start the year.
With more and more of the school being revealed during the construction process, many students may begin to wonder if the end is finally near.
Yes, we joke that the light at the end of the tunnel may finally be here. And I think the students would agree with me. When some of the walls came down over break, it's starting to reveal what the footprint of Homestead's going to look like. So we're very near to be opening a couple of new lines in the cafeteria. The library they anticipate will be open mid-February, and it's a very unique library. It's part of the hallway, so you actually will stroll through the library on your way to and from class. Probably the parts of the building that most students are anticipating even more so is the parking situation.
What advice would you give to students on how they can start off their second semester academically and personally strong?
I would encourage students to really think about where they want to be at the end of the semester and set the goals that will allow them to get there. And if things don't go exactly like you planned, really reflect on why did it not go the way I had hoped, so you can make changes for the future and just be resilient and move on.
Usually in these semester 2 sit-down interviews with Mrs. Summers, you don't really get a lot of information. It's pretty vague, but it's so cool to see how far our school has come this year.
That's right. One of the things Mrs. Summers emphasized the most was how, in order to make the second semester as successful for students and teachers, students need to be doing as much as they can possibly do, whether that be doing their homework on time or just utilizing the 45 minutes they're given every day in class.
No, yeah, Owen, great words of wisdom, and we will be right back on HHS In Depth.
Welcome back to HHS In Depth.
Students that are dropped off or picked up before or after school, this must take place at the Spartan Roundabout near door 45. Please remind your ride that the lot at door 33 can no longer be used for drop-offs or pickups. Cars looping through this area endanger students, faculty, and staff walking to and from their vehicles. Additionally, specific buses need access to this area to transport students safely. Thank you for your cooperation in keeping our campus safe and organized.
Are you interested in exploring the Greek Isles, marveling at the towering waterfalls and misty cloud forts of Ecuador, or experiencing the wonders of Japan, the land of the rising sun? If any of these things are on your bucket list, join us for an informational meeting on Wednesday, January 22nd at 6:30 p.m. in the Gray Box. RSVP using the QR code shown in the graphic here or on the posters in the hallway. You can also reach out to Mrs. Brown, Mrs. Bush, Mrs. Line, or Miss Lisak for more information.
Do you have any toys you're ready to part with? The Fort Wayne Mayor's Youth Engagement Council is hosting a toy drive right here at Homestead, giving you the perfect opportunity to donate and make a difference in the Fort Wayne community.
The toy drive is happening until the 23rd, and we are collecting toys for elementary school students ages 5 to 10, and they will be donated to elementary schools in Fort Wayne in low-income areas. We are collecting any toys. They can be lightly used or brand new. You can drop off toys in Mrs. Krupe's room. More details are located on the posters around Homestead.
Just a reminder, Mrs. Krupe's room is B2008, and be sure to bring all your donations in by next Thursday.
Attention seniors, Homestead Student Government is offering a $500 scholarship to one lucky senior from the class of 2025. To apply, write a 500-word essay answering this question. What was the most meaningful course you took at Homestead and why? Make sure to include your name and a title for your essay. Submit it via email to Senior Peeper at the email address shown here by 2:40 p.m. on Friday, January 31st. Don't miss this opportunity to earn a scholarship and showcase your Homestead experience.
Speaking of scholarships, new ones including many specifically for Homestead High School seniors have been added to the HHS scholarship page online. One example is the Sabert Scholarship, a 4-year renewable award exclusively for a Homestead graduate. To learn more about this and other opportunities, visit the Homestead High School website today.
This past Wednesday, Homestead High School hosted its annual 8th grade open house night where various clubs, elective classes, and student organizations had the opportunity to showcase their unique offerings to incoming 9th graders for the upcoming school year. This event was a great success with enthusiastic presentations and displays that gave prospective students a glimpse into the wide array of activities, academic programs, and extracurricular opportunities available at Homestead.
Everything is flowing, everybody's having a good time, a lot of information being shared with parents. one of those nights that everybody looks forward to as an 8th grader.
Are you ready to show off your literacy skills? Join the English team for this semester's academic Super Bowl competition. This year's theme is Irish literature of the 20th century. If you're interested, see Miss Olivero in room B2002 or send her an email at the email address shown here to sign up and grab your copy of this year's book. Don't miss your chance to represent your school and shine at the academic Super Bowl.
As we've mentioned earlier, the frigid temperatures we've experienced walking into school have been less than ideal. But here's something else that's been far from ideal lately: navigating the parking lots in the morning this semester. Reporter Matthias Arizmendi joins us now with a closer look at what's behind all the chaos.
With it being the second week back from winter break, students have had time to adjust to the decrease in available parking spaces. But has it been easy? Well, I was curious to see how this would specifically alter a student's routine and what adjustments they would have to make. But before we begin, let's set a foundation. This is what the main lot looked like before winter break. You would have to arrive before 7:20 if you wanted a spot. And you can see the yellow square indicating all the students that would have to find a new place to park. This is what the summit lots and environmental lot look like. On average, the time it took to make it into school from the main lot was 1 minute and 46 seconds. From the summit lot, it's 2 minutes and 53 seconds. And all the way back in the environmental lot, it took 3 minutes and 8 seconds. But these are just to make it inside. And now with most of the classes being in the front of the school, this time would just increase. So now that we've set the standard, let's talk about the differences this semester. If you parked in the back of the main lot, you would have to get here around 6 a.m. to compete for a spot. But with over half of the main lot being forced to park somewhere else, let's look at what the other lots look like now. Remember, this is what the summit lots look like before, and this is now. For the environmental lot, there was always a spot available, but not so much now. We can obviously see that they are a lot more congested. But is there still a rush to find a parking spot, or can you show up late and still park somewhere here? Well, right across the street at Summit, if you want a spot, you need to arrive anytime before 7:20 if you want to park on the closer side. And for the environmental lot, it's around 7:30. Obviously, no student has enjoyed this change, but what is there to look forward to? Well, there's going to be a new parking lot. For those that remember the Freshman Academy, it hasn't gone anywhere. It's just been used for other purposes, such as assembling the new desk. But now, Sachs is hoping that by the beginning of next school year, the Freshman Academy will be torn down and the new parking lot will be available for use. On the bright side, this means that we're one step closer to the construction project finally being completed. So it's good to know that we're still moving in the right direction. Matthias Arizmendi, HHS In Depth.
Welcome back to HHS In Depth.
When it comes to lifelong learning, one teacher at our school is taking that idea to heart. Literally. While most educators use their prep periods to grade papers or plan lessons, one teacher is spending that time in the classroom, but not his own. HHS In-Depth reporter Madison Rosine has the story.
In this Spanish classroom, one student tends to stick out from the rest. Can you spot them? Homestead math teacher Mr. Staley has been welcomed with open arms into this learning environment, but not as a teacher, as a student. Traditionally, Spanish and math don't go together. However, Mr. Staley has taken on an optimistic approach.
My mathematical mind loves learning a different language, as I've figured out as I started taking this class.
According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the United States is home to nearly 12 million bilingual Spanish speakers. So what is Mr. Staley's motivation to start learning Spanish?
I've always felt like I was at a disadvantage compared to people in the world who know more than one language. Many other countries teach English as from when they're kids, and so they know their own home country language and English. I didn't grow up with that.
For many people Mr. Staley's age, it's very common for them to use language learning apps like Duolingo. So why on earth would he take his prep period time to learn with a bunch of 16-year-olds?
It's really beneficial for me to be in the classroom and to help with class, but also to show the kids, all these freshmen and sophomores, that I can learn, and I try to push them and they push me.
Even if Mr. Staley hasn't changed your mind about trying to learn a different language, the main takeaway is you're never too old to learn something new. Because if he can do it, so can you. Madison Rosine, HHS In Depth.
Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm Josh Bobe, and Down to the Wire is finally back after a long and well-needed break. But while we were on break, our sports teams were still hard at work here at Homestead. Last Friday, some of our girls wrestlers made their way to Rochester High School, and senior Katie Vardaman won regionals by pinning each competitor in the first round of all 3 matches. She goes on to compete at state tomorrow. Also on Friday, back here at Homestead, our girls basketball team played Southside and destroyed them 87-22. Gabby Helsum led the team with 23 points and 6 rebounds. Then Maya Epps had 17 points along with 4 assists. The day after that, the girls went over to Elkhart and took care of business again, winning 59-28. This time, Maya Epps led the team in points with 18, and Gabby Helsum was right behind with 15. The girls are back on the road tonight at Snyder High School. We would like to congratulate the boys wrestling team, as last Saturday they competed at state and came away with 7th place in the 4A state. This Monday, swim and dive had their senior night against Angola and won with a combined score of 336-144. Dylan Wong got first in the men's 50 freestyle with 22.66. Emmy Crawford got first in the women's 100 butterfly with 1 minute and 8 seconds. And Thomas Davis had a dive score of 258.05. The day after that, the boys basketball team played Blackhawk Christian here at Spartan Arena and got the dub 67-38. Sophomore Mac Welker took over the game with a double-double, and Josh Rogers had 11 points with 5 rebounds. Then Wyatt Weaver had 10 points along with 3 assists. The boys are also in action tonight at Snyder High School, playing after the girls' game finishes. That'll wrap up this week's edition of Down to the Wire. Make sure to follow Homestead Athletics on both Instagram and Twitter for updates on Homestead-related sports news. Josh Bobe, HHS In Depth. Back to you, Mara and Carly.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you for watching our show today.
Make sure to follow our socials to keep up with the latest news from Homestead Media.
We'll see you all back here again next week for another edition of HHS In Depth.
Have a great 3-day weekend, Homestead.